More jobs added than expected overall. We had data earlier showing women really coming back into the workforce after COVID. And let's bring in Ted Jenkin to talk about it. Ted's personal finance expert, CEO, co-founder at Oxygen Financial. All right, welcome to the show, Ted. It's good to have you on. That number right at the bottom, 275, that was a very strong number. Another strong number in this job market. Put it in some context for us. What does it mean?
Yeah, well, Connell, good to see you. And look, the good news is that unemployment is still below 4% right now at 3.9%. And it's below 4% now for roughly 2 years. However, there are some states in the United States like Nevada and California where unemployment has ticked up north of 5% now. So we need to keep our eye on that. But I think the reason people feel so gloomy, as you saw in the report, is that wages only went up by 0.1%. If you annualize that, that's only a 1% wage growth increase for most Americans. And the question is, can their wages, can they keep pace with inflation?
Not great. How does that reflect or relate to inflation, though? Is that kind of help, is that a non-inflationary element there? Because I know we want to keep inflation from going up too much. So I'm not saying it's never good news to normal people that they're not making more money. So.
Look, this is the slippery slope that the Fed is facing right now. If they wait too long, it could risk having a recession in terms of cutting rates. If you cut rates too early, you could reignite inflation. That's a challenge right now. But when you hear Americans talk about the pain that they're feeling every day, this is exactly what you see in the jobs report, that their wages at work, and especially the kinds of jobs that were created, the question is, can they keep pace with inflation, especially in areas like the grocery store?
That's a good point, because we think about it all the time. We're trying to say, what is this disconnect, and how can you explain it? That people are saying one thing and the numbers say another, but you just explained it, and that's a very good point about why people feel and say they feel the way they do. You talked also about regions of the country, mentioning a few places that are question marks. I thought it was interesting. I want to put up what the Wall Street Journal had a big article about where are the hot spots, right, for jobs by region, and they look at the Sun Belt. In this, they look at the West, the Northeast corridor, and some of the legacy jobs. But the Sun Belt had far more jobs than some of these other areas. So, Phoenix had a lot. Huntsville, Alabama, Jackson, Mississippi. That's where the hot spots were, the Journal said. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, certainly you like it when you have weather and lower taxes. That's why a lot of people move out of the Northeast right now, and they move down to the Southwest and the Southeast. But we saw a lot of job growth in education and health, and also in leisure and hospitality. I'm a little concerned about how much the job growth has been the last 12 months in government. I don't know if that's sustainable. And the problem here is that we actually lost jobs in manufacturing. How can we be the greatest manufacturing country in the world when we're losing jobs in manufacturing? So we've got to fix that.
Orlando, Albuquerque, that makes sense. We have that up along with Phoenix as well. Why are you concerned about the government jobs?
It's just not sustainable. Look, we're $34 trillion in debt, and there are a lot of states that are in debt right now. It's just not sustainable. The only way you fix a budget in general is either increase revenue or you decrease expenses. It doesn't help when you keep padding expenses. Okay,
the other thing, I thought this is interesting, too, because it speaks to the economy. Of course, we're in an election year, so we try to look at everything. Is it a swing state or is it not? The areas in that same piece I was talking about in the Journal about where the worst job growth is, also maybe give us something to look at. See, Pittsburgh, the Baltimore area, Cleveland hasn't been great. Out in Chicago, also losing jobs. Milwaukee, not great. So that's, Pennsylvania certainly. I don't know about Ohio, but at the end, Wisconsin. So Pennsylvania and Wisconsin are going to be states to watch, no doubt about it, in the election. But what about that list? Does that tell you anything about the economy or why that's the case?
I'm not surprised by that. I always say weather that plays in a factor, but I actually lived in Cleveland for 6 years. And when you pay 8% tax overall, or sometimes you have regional taxes on top of state taxes, boy, zero state tax in Texas or Florida or Tennessee, it sure does sound appealing. And that's why you see a lot of people that are jettisoning out of these states and moving down south or to the Southwest.
That was good, Ted. I think we took, it's one thing to say the jobs are better than expected. It's a blowout report, all true, but good context today on, it's not the same everywhere in the country. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, appreciate it, Connell. Thanks for having me on.
Ted Jenkin.